That ends our regular business for the meeting, so we will move to council reports, and we'll start with Councilmember Carter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm old enough to remember being in elementary school and the national anthem that we recite every day. The words were added, "One nation under God." I say that in reference to a Gwinnett County Commissioners meeting I attended last year where several groups were honored. There was an Asian group and a Jewish group that were honored. And we had here today Mr. Mike Sabaw, who received honors for the Arab American Month. And I just wanted to mention, when I'm going back to One Nation Under God, this Arab American made a point to personally congratulate each member of those groups that were honored at Gwinnett, by the Gwinnett County Commissioners. And I just found that so amazing. I wish he were here to hear this. He hasn't heard this from me at all. But I think it's something that's missing in our country, in our states, and in our city, where we need to stop the classism and racism that goes on by a minority of Americans, but they seem to have the loudest voices. Also, with Councilmember Christy Linsky and Ms. Rochelle Brown, we had the honor of participating in an event at South Gwinnett High School last month. This was my first time being in a high school in a long time. And like many of you, I have heard a lot of bad publicity about South Gwinnett High School. Well, I want to tell you here today that we walked into that school and those students did not know that we were going to be there. They had no idea. They could not have been more well behaved in the hallways, going back and forth to classes. And I think that a lot of times we need to stop listening to the negative things that come out about schools in this community. And if we're going to be proud of Snellville, then we really need to act like we are proud of Snellville and speak proudly of Snellville. And I just wanted to mention that I was very happy and very proud of the students and the leadership over at South Gwinnett High School. And thank you all for attending today.
Thank you, Norman. And now we'll go to Councilmember Hetherington.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Quick report tonight. Want to join with Kelly in thanking Melvin for his service to the city. What year were you first elected to city council? 2001. Okay. I was just barely old enough to vote, and I had just moved here. So in a lot of ways, I have grown up under Melvin's leadership. I did my adulthood growing up in this city, and with leadership and of men of integrity like Melvin, I would not be sitting here today without people like him leading in the city and continuing to support us after he has moved on. He still lives here, but has moved on to other projects and other tasks. So Melvin, thank you for your service to us. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Councilmember Linsky.
I want to mention Councilman Carter's comments. My team at South Gwinnett utterly defeated the councilman's team in a civic engagement trivia event, and we were quite proud of our accomplishments. And it was very, very much student-led. I don't know why you failed to mention that part. But it was a fun day. It reminded me of what I absolutely loved about being in that building and what I loved about South Gwinnett and teaching. Let's see, we've got a bunch of stuff going on tomorrow night. We have State Senator Randall Mangum who will be
Sorry,
here.
that's been canceled.
Never mind, I hear that's canceled. So we'll invite him back at a later time. Saturday, of course, is going to be another a really busy weekend coming up with Easter weekend. Snellville Youth Commission will be meeting here at 10 a.m. and then we also have a farmers market going on from 9 a.m. to noon. Absolutely packed parking lot in the back a couple of weeks ago. So please come out and pack your patience as we're expecting another big crowd and another beautiful day. And let's see, we have Cool Cars coming up, Councilman Warner. Cool Cars at Briscoe Park. None of yours qualify, but you may want to go. Parks and Recreation, Cool Cars at Briscoe, Saturday, April 26th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So place that on your calendar as well. And thank everybody for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Christy, and we'll move to Mayor Pro Tem Warner.
For those of y'all who were in the room last meeting, and I had to leave early because my father had suffered a stroke the Saturday before. He is doing extremely well. My son took him out to dinner tonight. He is up and around. His speech is about 95% of where it was before, so it's really not too good. His cognition is great. He's still living on his own, and I just spend a lot more time with him because I realize that a 91-year-old sooner or later is going to reach his expiration date, and I want to make sure I get every moment I can in. So thank you to those who reached out and asked how he's been doing. The other thing is, I served this city since almost the day I bought property in here. I started off as a member of the Summit Chase Homeowners Association. I always made sure to only be vice president because I figured the president is the one who had to do the work. I was wrong, but at least on lawsuits, they're always on top. And then in 2003, someone who clearly wasn't thinking right nominated me to be on the Planning Commission. I believe it was Mayor Harold, but it may have been Jerry Oberholzer. They both seemed to be in cahoots with Melvin Everson, trying to, just because I put out signs for them, they thought I could do something. So I've sat on every zoning in this city, except for I think 2, when we had a mayor that wouldn't reappoint me to the Planning Commission, because we'd served on council together and she didn't think that I knew how to pour water out of my own boots. But I've sat on every zoning in this city over that period of time. I have been to innumerable trainings, and I'm now at a point where I'm asked by the Georgia Municipal Association to speak to other cities on zonings. I've worked with the First Lady of Georgia on some zoning issues to actually help combat sex trafficking in our state. And that's one of the things that I've worked with both the Gwinnett Municipal Association and the Georgia Municipal Association to get changes to our zoning regulations to take care of those issues, or at least address them in the small ways that we can through zoning law. And it pains me as we move through some of these zonings that we try to work with people to get the best result for our citizens that we possibly can. Because whether we like it or not, people have a constitutional right to use their property. And we're going to have a zoning coming up at our next meeting that I believe some people may be here about, that weighs heavy on my heart, and I know it weighs heavy on the heart of many of the people who are here, both up here and out in the audience. Over the years, the owner of that piece of property has been a good steward to the community, to our HOA, and I don't know that that's always been reciprocated. There were struggles to keep the golf course open, and they were unsuccessful. There were opportunities for our community to come together, release some covenants off some property, to allow for a development that would have turned part of that into a par 3 golf course. Seems like what we would want, but the HOA wouldn't release the covenants. We had an opportunity to have a national group come in with a pickleball place, kind of like a country club, but for pickleball. They actually talked about having a professional, if you can believe it, pickleball group running out of that area. But again, couldn't get the covenants released off the piece of property that was necessary to make that go forward. So that fell through. We had a proposal before us that we could have negotiated some changes to further protect the community. They had a 35-foot buffer around the entire development, which is not required under any code that I know of in the state of Georgia when you have residential up against residential. But again, that fell through because Summit Chase Homeowners Association decided that they did not want to release the covenants off 11 acres of property. I've only been there since 1999, so I probably don't know what I'm talking about. But I've seen that our covenants, speaking of Summit Chase, have not been enforced for the last at least decade. And when they are enforced, they're enforced unevenly. There are many violations that just go by the wayside. But if I don't mow my grass for 3 weeks, by golly, I'll get a notice. So we will do the best we can with what we have to get the best possible outcome for the citizens of the city of Snellville. But I can tell you from experience, if a body turns down a zoning and a person sues, then it's up to the courts to decide how that property is going to be developed. And they look to the surrounding property that has been zoned in recent times. I do not think that's the safest thing for our community. I don't think that's the safest thing for our youth or our future. So I know there has been a call for people to come and speak out tonight, and I'm sure we are about to hear that. I look forward to it because I love every single one of y'all out there, even you, Terry. And just keep in mind that what you would consider a bad decision, I guarantee you will be better than what a court will decide. And I would hope that you would look to maybe speaking to the leadership of our homeowners association to try to give this body the ability to negotiate better for all of us. But we can't do it with what we currently have before us. And I know what I've said probably means I will have to recuse myself going forward, but I would much rather, I guarantee you, my vote would not have changed the outcome of the motion that is still upon the table and delayed to the next meeting. But please, as you've come here tonight to speak to us, please reach out to the people who control those covenants on the property and see if we can't come up with a solution that will be better for every single one of us in this room, in this city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Todd. And I'll, just a couple of items in the mayor's report. I had the honor and the pleasure to once again judge the South Gwinnett High School's PTSO's Inter-Me Beauty Pageant. This was their fourth pageant that they've done, and what this, it's not strictly a beauty pageant as we're all used to hearing about. These young women commit to, I believe it's 8 weeks or 6 weeks of coming every Saturday and spending from 8 a.m. till 2 with their leaders and their mentors, and they go through things like financial literacy, soft skills, career development, spiritual development, mental health. And so they have programs every week for 6 weeks, and it's culminated into the pageant where they performed two things. One was showcasing a talent, and the other was oratory. They had to answer a question, what is my purpose? And provide a response in 90 seconds. And I mean, what a dynamic group of young women. And I'll tell you, the winner, it was really surprising to me that she won. And she was about to fall out with surprise, but she was a seamstress. And she displayed some of her, she wore one of the dresses that she designed and made, and then she had another outfit that she had made, and she walked through us, you know, how she designed it and what her decisions were and how she learned how to sew. A lot of it was taught by her grandmother. And she was just a very dynamic woman. And so I was really excited that she did win the pageant. But the first place winner won $2,500 scholarship, and the second place winner had a $1,500 scholarship to go on. So again, as Councilmember Carter and Linsky both said, every time I interact with the students at South Gwinnett High School, I am just always so impressed and blown away. And our youth commission, or not only South Gwinnett High School, but also Grayson and Brookwood and Shiloh students that are on the youth commission, and such a great group of young people that we have in our area. I'm also pleased to announce that we are planning a groundbreaking on our new recreation building at Briscoe Park. That will be on May 1st. It's a Thursday afternoon at 4:30 p.m. So we invite you all to come out, and I'm sure Brian will be putting some things out on Facebook. But we're really excited about this building project. It's been something that's been in the works and talked about for over 20 years, and we approved the contract at our last meeting, or the meeting before, I don't know, recently. And so construction is set to start on that building on May the 5th. So right before I open the floor to public comment, I know it's been advertised for people from the Summit Chase zoning to come in and speak, and of course anyone is allowed to come and speak. We ask anyone who would like to make a public comment on any topic to come forward. You have 5 minutes on one topic. You may come forward one time. But on the Summit Chase zoning specifically, if you've got some solution or something that could help us come to a decision, we'd appreciate that. If you, of course, again, it is public comment. You're welcome to come and state anything that you would like. If you're coming to reiterate any opposition or anything else that's already been highlighted in the report, then just please know that we are advised of all of those comments and views at this point. So I will open the floor to public comment. Anyone who would like to come forward, please state your name and address for the record. 5 minutes on one topic. We do have a sign-up sheet. If you're not on it, you are still welcome to come forward. But I will run through after this comment, then I will go through the sign-up sheet next.
Good evening, Mayor Bender, council members. Logic dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Ms. Morgan, let us adjust that.
I'm probably shorter than everybody here.
It's all right, Kurt comes up here too.
Oh, okay. I feel better already.
And
Okay,
if
I'm
you
sorry.
would, state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Catherine Morgan. I live at 1630 Timberline Trace. Logic dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. If you're old enough, you may or may not recognize the words of Mr. Spock when he was explaining to Captain Kirk why he entered the main reactor at the cost of his own life to save the Enterprise and its crew. Now, no one here is being sacrificed, I get it, but I believe the logic still applies. What we saw here when we last met, in my opinion, was the builder, his attorney, and the landowner putting lipstick on a pig. Examples. It's an R5 zoning, but it's really R5. We're giving you a buffer. We don't have to give you a buffer. No, not 30 feet. That was last month. Now it's 15, because we took away some home sites. My kitchen's bigger than that. Finished buffers? No. We like the idea of natural. That's code for weeds. Who wouldn't be excited? Blasting? No worries. We'll notify you when your house is going to shake, your walls are going to crack, and your foundation will be compromised. Now, I have to say, I added that last part. The attorney and the builder were both very dismissive of the detrimental effects of the blasting on existing homes. One of my personal favorites. We're going to install a gate exclusively for emergency vehicles. If that doesn't scream too many cars in one place, I don't know what does. Conservative estimates, 126 homes, 2 cars per home, 252 more cars. How many neighborhoods can boast an emergency exit? We're committing to a 2-car garage with a 2-car driveway. I would have invited Mr. Latham to take a drive down, say, Zermatt Way or Southwinds, where you have to actually drive down a driveway to reach the house, in stark contrast to making a right turn, and you're there. No one is denying Mr. Britt's right to sell his property. No one is denying KG Builders' right to make a living building homes. What we are strongly objecting to is them attaining these goals at the expense of hundreds of families who border this property and call it home. Make no mistake, this project will severely impact our lives and our property values. You asked for a suggestion. I have one. Perhaps Mr. Britt could consider selling off lots on the already established road, compatible with the R30 zoning that the neighborhood presently enjoys. I know this will not solve all of Mr. Britt's problems, but maybe we can't, nor should we be responsible for solving all of Mr. Britt's problems. The fate of our neighborhoods, 3 neighborhoods, is in your hands, Madam Mayor and councilpersons. You can end this nightmare. There are many people here again tonight. There are many more at home who didn't come here tonight because after the last meeting they felt you had all already made up your minds, and anything more we had to say would fall on deaf ears. So what I'm asking is when you are deliberating, you recall the words of the immortal Mr. Spock. Logic dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Prove those people wrong who stayed here tonight by affirming the unanimous vote of the Planning Commission and deny this petition. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Now, I'll go down the list and call anyone who from this list would like to come forward, and then we'll leave the floor open for anyone else. Anne Lefevre.
You got it right. Hi, I'm Ann LaFavor, and I'm with the family Gwinnett. I live, well, my address is 3235 Satellite Boulevard, Duluth, Georgia. Mayor and City Council, I am here this evening on behalf of our organization to formally request the use of either the Snellville Town Green or the Grove for our 4th annual Juneteenth celebration. This event commemorates our national recognition of the end of slavery and serves as a meaningful opportunity to bring the community together in celebration, reflection, and unity. For the past 2 years, we have successfully held this event on the town green, drawing strong attendance and engagement from Snellville residents. In 2020, the Snellville City Council passed a resolution affirming its commitment to building a culture of trust and fostering positive race relations. In alignment with that vision, our organization has proudly hosted Snellville's Juneteenth celebration for the past 3 years. With over 8,000 Black residents in Snellville, we believe this continued celebration is an important reflection of our shared values and community spirit. We request confirmation of one of these locations so that we can move forward with our planning. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is John, I'm not sure the last name, starts with an A, on Green Turf. Is it Andrus?
Thank you, Mayor Bender. Thank you, City Council. I'm here talking about the Summit Chase properties. This proposal, as it's designed, is a complete disaster and totally out of context with the existing neighborhood that's been there for years. I'm also informed that the property involved will need a lot of blasting because of granite in the area, very deep granite, making it almost impossible to build on. Recently, just last week, we had a pretty bad water main break right down the street, and it took the Gwinnett County Water Company the whole night to fix. They spent thousands and thousands of dollars fixing that. All of this happened right after recent blasting in the neighborhood on the other side of the golf course. Consideration? I don't know, but it's something to look at for sure. The developer and the lawyer are not here. All I can say is they have a developer and a lawyer from out of town, and all they want to do is come in here and destroy this property that's been here for years, and then walk away with their money, and we'll never hear from them again. Right. Okay, in conclusion, Mayor Bender, the last election cycle, I received a letter directly from you asking for my support for voting for 2 of these specific council members. I complied, and even I came back here about a month and a half later, and I voted on the runoff, and both of them are here. Now I am asking for your help, please, and all these city council members, please, we are asking for help. And my neighbors, my wonderful neighbors that are sitting behind me, we are also asking for your help. Please deny this project that has been unanimously suggested by the Planning Commission and consider some alternatives. Let's put in some really nice houses on acre-plus lots that will complement the neighborhood instead of degrade it. Another suggestion, I would say, let's go ahead and put in a horse park, and let's give some kids some riding lessons. Also at that clubhouse, there are 2 really, really good pools. One of the pools, I think, is almost an Olympic size. Right? Now, I can tell you from past experience that all these athletes that you see on TV, on the Olympics and all that stuff, right? All those kids start training when they're really, really young, right? And they need to have a place close by where they can go ahead and do things like that and also go to school and do their homework and all that stuff. They start very, very young, right? I don't think Snellville has any place like that available, and I don't think they have a horse park available. I had some riding lessons when I was about 5 years old, and I still remember some of the things that they taught me. So, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your consideration. I would ask that you please consider these alternatives, the 3 alternatives that I've given you, and there's probably a whole bunch more right in back of me as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Kevin Ludick.
Good evening, folks. My name's Kevin Ludick, and I live at 1545 Summit Chase Drive. That's the corner of South Crestview and Summit Chase Drive. We're the first house that you see when you come down 78 and you make that entrance. My wife and I are retired. We see all of the traffic. I bought this home in 1992. I've been here for over 30 years. I think I know our neighborhood very well. The key is a neighborhood. It's my neighborhood. It's our neighborhood. With the view looking up Summit Chase Drive, it's incredible the amount of cars that you see coming down, and they're entering and exiting at a high rate of speed. We've got speed bumps. The one in front of my house isn't a speed bump, it's a launch ramp. It's very hard crossing the street, especially when you're a dog walker. We've seen the congestion grow over the last 5 years. It's going to become with a rezoning effort. I know the neighborhood roads pretty well. 126 homes will result between 2 and 3 cars or trucks using Snellville roads daily. The math will be about 300 cars per day. Summit Chase Drive will be the preferred entry and exit for these vehicles. I don't believe the developer or the attorney that there are going to be other ways to exit. The quickest way is right down Summit Chase Drive. That's right in front of my house. We're the house that gets people that break down on 78, they run out of gas, they ask for directions to the club. I want to continue to do that, okay, but I can't do it with 300 more cars coming down Summit Chase Drive. It should remain a neighborhood, not a pass-through to Highway 78. The back 9, as we all know it, needs improvement. We can't have 100 more homes sitting in there. We don't need the development. It's going to be a detriment to the neighborhood. We have so many retirees in Summit Chase. It's their forever home. I'm one of those. I don't want to move. My wife did a study. She's the Google queen of Summit Chase. She wanted to know what's going to happen with the granite. She got very, very concerned as we had some experience with the development just down South Crestview. We had a neighbor's house hit with debris. Rock blasting near homes in Georgia can cause various adverse effects, including structural damage, decreased property values, and health risks. Who's going to pay for correction in my house? Who's going to pay for that? Vibrations and air pressure from blasts can crack foundations, warp beams, and cause the structures to collapse. Is there a danger zone that extends beyond the expected spread of the blasting? In addition to structural damage, we're at risk for respiratory issues. I'm going to be 74. I don't need respiratory issues. The noise, going to be incredible. Has anyone considered the risks for the aging population as well as young children? I would hope that the members of the council, including the ones that live in the area, don't recuse yourself from this. This is very, very important. Do what's right for the neighborhood and the people. This development doesn't any good for the community. Please vote no. The young lady that talked about Commander Spock, I loved that. That was great. The gentleman before me, he was a tough act to follow. Please, folks, do the right thing for the community. This is our neighborhood. Thank you for your time and attention tonight.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Papport?
Good evening. Good evening. I just have a few notes that I'd like to share with you.
Your name and address for the...
I'm sorry. My name is Pat Port, and my address is 1247 Summit Chase Drive, Snellville, Georgia. Why I moved to Summit Chase? My daughter lived down the street. She lived at 1399 Summit Chase Drive with my 3 young grandchildren. So I thought, oh, when the house came up for sale, that would be perfect. I would have my grandchildren. I bought the house in February of 1998, and my daughter and my 3 grandchildren moved to Mississauga, Canada, in August. So I had my dad, my mom, and then my son with me in that house. I have a great-grandson, not a great-grandson, grandson, living with me right now for the moment. It's a large house, and I enjoy living there. I enjoy it because I have great neighbors. There is a great sense of community. The lake is incredible. We have issues with the dam. I'm well aware, have worked with Safe Dam. We have it inspected because it's a Category 1 dam. When I moved there, I didn't know that. So I've learned a lot. I've learned about Army Corps of Engineers. I've learned about Safe Dam. I know what we have to do for the dam. I know how much money it's going to cost to even try and repair it. And then we have Timberline Drive, which is the lower lake, and that piece of maintenance to make sure that we're in accordance with the county and the city on that road and making sure that it's what it should be. I think the rezoning is, I have mixed feelings about it. I have mixed feelings about bringing in townhouses. I don't think that perhaps it's the right area for it. I know further down the street, I've been very impressed with the subdivision that has gone on at Rosebud, which has a blend of townhouses and homes. And I've driven through there, and I think that was a great idea. But I'm not sure about the proposed one with all the townhouses right now. I would have to be further convinced that having that many property, that many units, times 2 for 2 cars for each, and coming out onto 78, I don't know how well that works. And I would also like to say that I've been very disappointed in the dismissive behavior of the builders who are doing the blasting. I mean, when I called city council, I did, to find out, is there a schedule? And I was told, well, usually they blast on Fridays at 12:30. And so that went for a couple of times, and then out of the blue, it starts again. So I think the builder needs to put out, he was putting out little signs like this big, white, on a corner, about that high up off the ground, and it said, it'll say a date, blasting, 3/25. I think we need to hold him more accountable. You know, this rattles our home. I know that there are several people who are not here tonight that live on Classic Drive, and they have cracked driveways into their garages from that blasting. So I don't know who gives permission for that, but I think that needs to be addressed, and I would hope that it would come from here. And I think that's the end of my notes. So thank you very much, and I appreciate the time to be able to speak for Summit Chase Homes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Port. Pat, is it Roessler? It's Reisler. Okay, thank you. Gloria Beanstalk? Well, come on up. Just give your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Gloria Beanstalk, 3398 Summit, Turf Lane. And I really was going to pass until I heard that there might be some kind of legal action taken. And my first point was simply, I believe almost everybody here has made some financial decisions that didn't work out. They've even maybe been, as I have been, in this position and be ruled against. But we usually take our wins and our losses without threatening. I can't use the word threaten. I don't know what the word is to use, but it's almost like bullying. Saying
Ms. Beanstalk, I do want to say that there has been no threatened legal action at this point. There has not been.
And I apologize for that coming out of my mouth. But that was sort of scared me. But anyway, we take our financial wins and losses and we say thank you. The next thing I had was the geological harm that might be done to our already weakened infrastructure. And I was thinking of the sewer lines and whatever, and I noticed that tonight you brought up the planning and development that this city has done all along, and I applaud that. Thank you very much, because it looks like it may be slow, but you're working at keeping it such that it won't be a big problem. And then the last thing, I would think that last week was my first adventure into this forum, and I saw on the thing certain written things, and then as presented, it was changed completely. And I thought, you have to vote on what's written down, and it came to a vote, you tabled it till next time. But it would seem to me that a whole new proposal would be in order, and in that new proposal, bring out some of the things that were even promised, but wouldn't be, those promises wouldn't be, you wouldn't be held to those promises because you vote on what's there. So I just see a lot of problems. They've been, I mean, I could go into personal ones, but those things have been brought out. Living right on, my driveway is on Rosebud Road. Living right there and hearing the sirens go 4 or 5 times a day or a night or whatever. It's already in a position where, well, I would think that if folks could get together and work on a new proposal that could take into consideration the problems that you know exist, that perhaps there could be a meeting of the minds and thinking about what's best for all, including those who want to make money. And I just simply say thank you for letting me babble. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I think the Reverend, is the Reverend still here? No, I think he's already gone. Ken Dial?
Good evening. My name's Ken Dial. I live on Zermatt Way, Misty River Estates. I was in commercial construction for 43 years. The first 17 years I worked out in the field, learning what to do, learning methods, ways, and means. The last 26 years I owned the company, and I did everything: cost estimating, project management, a little bit into legal, accounting, just on and on. And I say that because I want y'all to know I'm an open book. And if any one of y'all, I'm not saying I'm an expert, because anybody to claim to be an expert, there are so many different phases of construction. It's just about impossible, anybody that says they're an expert on everything. But I've been around construction and I know a little. I picked up a few things. If any one of y'all want to meet with me privately for 10, 15 minutes to talk about this, about the construction, about anything to do with Summit Chase West, I'm willing to do that, and we will do it in a calm, respectful manner, and I will respect the time limit if you want to do that. Comparing the neighborhoods, mostly what I'm going to talk about is Timberline and Misty River Estates. And I have the land lot map from that. I also have Steeplechase and Southwind. The average lots for our neighborhood, Timberline, Misty River Estates, the lots are average 36,600 square feet. Steeplechase and Southwind are larger and run anywhere from about 120,000 to 200,000 square feet. The applicants for this new development, proposed new development, is R5 lots are average 13,137 square feet. So one of these larger lots, you could put 15 of his little micro lots on one of the larger lots in Steeplechase or Southwind. Now, there is no possible way that that can sound compatible or comparable. It just doesn't. Now, my particular lot is just over 104,000 square feet, and I've got all sorts of large, mature trees, 70, 80 years old. It's a very nice wooded lot. My neighbor to the west is over 100 feet between our houses, and my neighbor on the other side to the northeast is 70 feet plus between houses. This proposed new development, the houses are 20 feet apart. 20 feet. A first down in football is 30 feet. The entire 250-foot long property line on the eastern side of my property is solid granite. And there is a detention pond going in that solid granite. Now, this granite is 103 feet, 10 inches from my house. And I can imagine what it's going to do to my footings, the foundation, my walls and ceilings, just 103 feet away. Why will not this applicant build RS30 houses and lots instead of RS5? And there really is no reason why. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. It is true the infrastructure will cost not quite the same, but it will be similar for these little micro lots. But the RS30 lots are so much bigger, and they will be at a lot higher price, selling price. And he's not going to make as much money as he wants to, but he'll make a lot of money if he were to do it as RS30. Real quickly, I'm going to read this. This is from the Snellville City Charter, Part 1, Article 2, Section 2.14A. Word for word, elected and appointed officers of the city are trustees and servants of the residents of the city, and shall act in a fiduciary capacity for the benefit of such residents. So all I'm asking is, in Snellville, where everybody is somebody, please do not willfully work toward destroying our neighborhoods in this Snellville, the Summit Chase character area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dial. Ken Morgan?
Hello, my name's Ken Morgan. My wife and I, Catherine and I, live at 1630 Timberline Trace. We've been in the city of Snellville for 25 years. I've been around construction and construction equipment since I was a little boy, as my father worked for a family-owned construction business. After I served For 6 years in the Army National Guard Engineers, I was hired by the local town and exchanged my military license for a civilian CDL license, which enabled me to become an equipment operator. I drove equipment, dump trucks, landscape tractors, backhoes for the town, and eventually became the crew chief of the crew that repaired water and sewer lines and services. Having spent 33 years in this capacity, I've been in and around stone quarries for many years, and I can tell you with all certainty that you will not see any structures or developments near a stone quarry. Blasting and structures are not compatible. The dangers associated with blasting are both physical to the buildings and psychological to the occupants, their pets, and wildlife. It can also release radon gas into existing homes, the air, water runoff, and into streams and lakes. In reviewing the entire area around Summit Chase Golf Course on both Google Earth and Zillow Satellite, much can be learned. There's a lot more viewable on those sites than you can see in person. There is significant visible granite on much of the back nine. I think that's already been established. None is visible on the front nine. Yet there is ongoing extensive blasting there, leading one to believe that there is considerable granite underground that is not visible. Okay? 3D digital terrain models can be used to map unknown granite without actually digging or drilling through LiDAR. None of this has been done by the developer to my knowledge. I think if it was, that he would realize he can't do this. Another unintended consequence of this blasting is the creation of tremors, a shift or movement in the earth. These earth-like tremors can be created by man in blasting, drilling, and fracking. In the county's hazard mitigation plan, of which Snellville is a member, you are required to identify vulnerable areas such as areas surrounding community dams and develop a protective action and a response plan. I believe there are at least 8 lakes in close proximity to the golf course that would be impacted by construction and, more importantly, blasting. Based on my extensive experience in water and sewer maintenance, I have to believe that our water, sewer, and storm sewer lines will be negatively affected by this activity. We recently had a major water main break at the head of Johnson Lake. This is not far from the blasting. This line was replaced by the county in 2010 or 11. Many of our streets and lines are original, installed in the 1980s and early 90s. Again, they're extremely vulnerable. I would also say that the civil engineers, builders, and developers I've worked with over many years would agree with me. Lastly, I feel I am in a uniquely qualified position to warn that further development of this area will have far-reaching and potentially disastrous consequences for existing neighborhoods and infrastructures. Please, in the name and cause of Arbor Day, save this land from development and its many trees and wildlife, and deny the rezoning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Wilfred Hilaire, St. Hilaire. I'm sorry if I'm butchering y'all's names.
May I give you permission to call me the Saint?
State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Wilfred St. Hilaire. I live at 1620 Timberline Place, and been living there for the past 14 years. My reason for being here might seem a little selfish, but it's not really selfish. I understand why the developer want to build that many homes in that area, but it is not convenient or in the best interests of the people who decided to live in Snellville or in the location in which we live. I lived in New York City, which is very congested. And my wife suggested to me that perhaps we should move to a different location. So we moved to Queens. And we thought that even Queens was a little too congested. The noise and the number of people, and it was not healthy. So we thought of looking for another place to live. We thought of Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and Georgia. We settled in Georgia, and we settled in Snellville. And we love it here because it's not too congested. You've got space, you can breathe. If you want to go to the police station or you want to go to a hospital, it could get there within a limited time. If you permit this contractor to build this many homes, it makes the area more congested. It makes it more difficult to get from one location to another. And I don't think that this would be in the best interests of the people who lived in the immediate neighborhood and in the surrounding neighborhood. You get up in the morning at 8 o'clock, 9, 10 o'clock, or 2, 3, 4, 5 in the afternoon, and the amount of traffic that you've got to deal with to get from your home even to a supermarket or to go to church, it takes too much time. It's too congested. And if you have too many people also living in a small neighborhood, might not be the most healthy thing. So I am asking you, please, on our behalf, to consider very seriously what might happen 4 or 5 years from now if the contractor is allowed to proceed with this construction. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Robin Brainerd?
Robin Brainard, 1555 Timberline Trace. My husband Bob and I were transplanted to Georgia from New Jersey 28 plus years ago. Initially, realtors showed us houses in Alpharetta, Roswell area. Immediately, we were disappointed by the stamp-sized properties as well as houses placed close together. After much research, we discovered Snellville, specifically the Timberline subdivision, and we instantly fell in love. We loved the estate-sized homes that were situated on an acre and a half. The community offered a lake as well as park-like neighborhoods. The new house we were interested in sat on, and still does, forests and wooded areas, and it's so dense that we can't see the homes in the subdivision on the other side of the stream. Bob and I felt this was a great area to raise our family. I was very fortunate to teach in the school that our subdivision fed into, bringing my children to school with me. We loved how our church is within walking distance from our home. Our children could play in the park, fish in the lake, as well as bring boats on the water. As of recent, this quiet neighborhood has been disrupted by the blasting from the adjacent new subdivision Soleil. My visiting sister-in-law and I both heard and felt the explosive blasts from the contractor attempting to blast through the granite. Bob and I have worked hard to make our house our home. We live in this community. You can find us walking our pub daily, twice now that light is longer, picking up trash daily. We've been closely following the rezoning request since we received the letter back in September. At the February Planning Commission meeting, we were ecstatic to learn the unanimous decision to deny the rezoning request. It was mentioned that in essence, a housing development was going to be constructed smack in the middle of a pre-existing subdivision. In my humble opinion, the stress, aggravation, and additional cost incurred during this whole lengthy process could be avoided if we keep the zoning in its current listing R30. I call into question what's the purpose and mission of the Planning Commission if their recommendation is ignored. As we are beginning the Holy Week, one of the holiest weeks in the Christian calendar, I pray that you will embrace what this week has to offer. Please do what is right for the majority of the citizens of Snellville and deny this rezoning request. Thank you.
Thank you. Ross Lee?